Hello and welcome to the Tennessee Informer. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we have Representative Todd Warner from District 92 and Giles County GOP Chair and SEC member Chris Morris here to talk with us about the problem of crime committed by illegal aliens in Tennessee, specifically Williamson County, and House Bill 0010 sponsored by Representative Warner to help address that issue. We'll also hit on some of the problems within the SEC. Well, thank you both for coming on the show tonight. How are you both doing?
Great to be with you, Dave.
Doing great, Dave. I'm glad to be with you and Todd both.
Well, good. Appreciate you guys coming on. So we're going to get right to it. So Representative Warner, let's talk. I know there was a meeting, but let's talk about the legislation first, and then we'll get to the meeting. So just fill us in a little bit on the legislation, what the goals of it are.
House Bill 10 here seeks to do three things, Dave. It seeks to make Tennessee a safer place, first of all. Second thing it does, it seeks to remove illegal immigrants from the state, undocumented immigrants. And the third thing it seeks to do, Dave, is it seeks to hold the federal government accountable. It seeks to recoup that cost that the cities and counties may occur while holding and transporting these illegal immigrants. And that's what the bill does.
So how does it do that exactly?
Okay, let's say a Marshall County patrolman pulls over a illegal immigrant. That illegal immigrant cannot provide a Tennessee's driver's license, nor can he provide a green card, any type of work visa. If at that point, the officer has to assume he's in violation of immigration law. So at that time, he would take him in, or if he smelled marijuana or any type, thing that would allow an arrest. So at that time, he would take him into the county jail. Then he would request an ICE detainer, and it's my understanding from working with legal down at the Capitol that once ICE detainer is requested, that the county can hold them up to 48 hours. If after 48 hours, if ICE has not let the locals know that they're on the way, or to hold them, we're coming to pick them up, they have to release those individuals. And what this bill seeks to do is say, hey, no, we're not going to release them back here in Tennessee. We're going to drive you up to 700 miles away to a sanctuary city and turn you loose where you're welcome. And at that time, the county or city would bill the state, the Department of Revenue, for the cost incurred to house and transport that illegal. The state, in return, would bill the Department of Treasury. The Department of Treasury, in return, would have 30 days to pay the state the cost of that illegal immigrant. After 30 days, if the state has not been refunded the money, the state would then deduct that money from the federal gas tax and make itself whole for the federal government, the failed Biden administration, not holding up our immigration laws. And that's what the bill seeks to do. Now, I've been working with Representative Doggett a little bit, talking to him about some amendments, maybe one amendment. Since the bill has become public and people have seen it, they asked, why don't you go on and deport these illegals? And we may try to tweak it a little bit instead of taking them to a sanctuary city, that we go on and deport them, or we work with the Trump administration and try to get them on out of the country. Keep in mind, Dave, when the bill was being drafted, it was before the election, and we didn't really know. We were getting false poll results from the media, and we were saying it was neck and neck. We wasn't really sure. In my heart, I thought, President Trump was going to win, but I wanted something in place in case President Trump didn't win.
In case they stole it. In case they stole the election again. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Exactly. Where's those 12 million votes at? Or 10 million, whatever it is.
I think it's 21 million.
Yeah. So let me ask this: the 48-hour rule. is that a federal rule or is that a state rule? Where does that come from?
It's my understanding, Dave, that is a federal rule. That once you notify ICE, and this is coming from legal down at Cordell Hall, that once the county notified ICE that they had an illegal, that ICE has 48 hours. If they hadn't heard from ICE in 48 hours, I think they got to start the release process. And what this bill would do would really stop that release process and say, no, we're not going to release you here in Tennessee. We're going to head you out of the state.
Now that would only be if that's all you had them on. If you have because if you have them on legitimate other crimes.
No, we want them to stand trial. This is for victimless crimes, let me say. This is for misdemeanor stuff that ain't worth putting them through our court system.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But no, if there's a victim involved, a serious crime, we want them to stand here in Tennessee, stand trial, and get the severest punishment they can get.
Okay. All right. So 48 hours, if you don't hear from ICE, send them to a sanctuary city, or now you're possibly considering the deportation process. Of course, that's still going to involve the federal government. I mean,
it absolutely will, and we're anxious to see when President Trump, how this thing kicks off and gets going, and maybe that we work with the Tennessee National Guard. Representative Doggett's mentioned the Department of Corrections. Maybe holding them somewhere till ICE can get here and get them out of the country. But I'm sure President Trump's going to keep his word, and these illegals that are undocumented, they need to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if there's not some. Okay. Here's the bill. I can't actually. I don't know how well anybody can read that, but this lays everything out about the legislation. I don't know if, as far as the 48-hour rule, I wonder if even currently now there would be a way to, hey, can we get an extension? I mean, if that's something that you might need to do is just.
Yeah, I don't know if we can address that here in the state. If we can get that extension, we definitely will. We'll try. That's something I'm going to meet with Representative Doggett. He chairs, of course, we don't have our committee set yet, but he has been chair of the criminal justice subcommittee, and that's where I think the bill would start.
Right.
And
so that's another thing I was wondering about the path. So Clay Doggett is there, so that's a good sign. How many co-sponsors you got, and who are they?
I think I got 5 or 6 last week. I haven't seen everyone since the bill's been filed, but I know Michelle Renault signed on. Let's see. Daggum, I just drew a blank. I think I got 3 or 4 signed on last week. Michelle Renault was one I remember. Kaylee Kiesling signed on, and Monty Fritz is signed on.
Oh, okay, good.
Well, you got some powerful ones there.
You got some strong conservatives there that signed on, and there'll be more.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know why anybody. I think this is the kind of thing we have to do, regardless of who's in office. If Trump's in office, this should be a whole lot easier. I mean, I would think it would be a whole lot easier. This is one of the proactive things we need to do. Something. The AG a few weeks ago, and I couldn't believe he said this, he said every time he goes somewhere in the state, everybody's all concerned about illegal immigration. And he made the comment, well, there's really not much we can do about it. It's the federal, and I'm like, that's the wrong thing to say. Because
you can do something about it.
Absolutely, you can. And it's the state has a responsibility to step up. I mean, it's not like, well, we got to wait for Trump to get in, and Trump's going to do everything. That's garbage. That's just total garbage.
Yeah, no, we can do it. And I think I've been on your show once before, and I told you then, we the people make up we the states that make up we the federal government, not vice versa. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with us pushing back against the federal government a little bit, especially when they won't uphold their own laws here.
Absolutely. And now that gas tax. I like that approach. We're gonna try now. Granted, getting them to reimburse us is probably not going to happen. But like you say, we're going to withhold the gas tax to the. We might want to look at doing that with the whole school thing. Because the Supreme Court is the one that threw this whole garbage on us through a decision back in the 80s, Plyler versus Doe, where it said, oh, well, these kids are, it's not a problem for you states to fund their education K through 12. Well, that's garbage. So maybe we just start withholding. We need to start tabulating what these guys cost us. And, you know, we might end up sending them none of the federal fuel tax. What do you think?
I think that's a very good possibility and a very good point. You know, and speaking of the school situation and the education, you know, we're about to push the vouchers again here in this state, and that, you know, that disturbs me, and that's a whole nother different conversation. But, you know, my opinion on that is let's give the Trump administration a chance and see if he's going to do what he said he was going to do, demolish the Department of Education, and maybe there's a program at the federal level where individuals going to private school or whatnot can get a income tax deduction or something. And let's not spend that state money right away. We might not have to.
Yeah, well, and my question too is with the governor's bill, since I trust him no further than I can throw him, not even quite that far, is it going to be, are illegal aliens going to be eligible for that voucher bill?
You can't get it. I believe they will be. As last time I asked that question to our commissioner in committee, and she would not answer the question. And when I doubled down and I asked her to make sure, would she promise the taxpayers of this great state that there will be a box to check on that application, that whether you're here illegal or not, she would not commit to the committee that she would make sure that box would be on there. I had an application from Arizona, their voucher program, and it does not have a box on there to check whether you're in that state illegal or not.
And she wouldn't commit, or she said she
would not.
Okay.
She wouldn't say.
She sat there silent, didn't she? Didn't answer.
She said it would be. Yeah, she made every excuse. Not that she just walked all the way around the question. She never would truly answer the question. It was a yes or no question, and she could not give a yes or no answer.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. Never a good sign.
No.
Okay.
And I'm not sure we're ready in this state for government-run, state-run Christian schools, and that's what this is going to turn into.
Well, I mean, here's the deal, though. It's not going to be. I don't want the government involved in it. I mean, they're already more involved than they need to be. You know, if somebody wants to send their kid to a private Christian school, I think they should be able to do that. I think they do it with their own money, as far as that goes.
Absolutely.
And I'm not a huge fan of the public schools by any means. Okay, I know that they got a lot of problems, but here the same state government that has allowed our schools to become, in many cases, crap. Yeah, now they got another plan. They got another program. I mean, this is like that Charlie Brown stuff, you know. Lucy and Charlie right here. Let's kick the football again here.
You're very good point. And let me point something else out to you, Dave, that really people don't see at home. I'm all for school choice. I want you to send your kid where you want to send it. I just don't think it's the government's, you know, we provide a good public education, or try to. I know we have bad actors there. There's no doubt. There's a lot of cleanup work that needs to be done in our public schools. Yeah. But it is not the government's place to pay for our private schools. Nope. Let me tell you another thing, Dave. Down there when we're in Cordell Hall, when we're in meetings, when the lobbyists are coming around, Dave, I haven't seen one private school owner come around, or one corporation or company that owns private schools, and say, we're for this. The only people you see coming around is the American Federation for Children and AFP. The only two people that you see. It's not these private schools sending their lobbyists in there, because I really believe deep down, Dave, they realize once they take this state money, here comes the strings.
Yep.
Here comes the legislation that's going to tell you what you're going to teach and how you teach it and how you test.
Yep. And you know, you mentioned the private Christian schools. Here's the thing too. If we use these vouchers at let's say a private Christian school, well, you know, they're going to use them at an Islamic school or a Hindu school or whatever. I don't want my tax dollars going for that garbage. I mean, I really don't.
No. And we seen the Tennessee Conservative had a very good article here a few weeks back where a satanic school had opened up in Bristol, a middle school. Well, once they meet those 5 steps of criteria, Dave, they can apply for this money, and the state can't tell them no.
Yep.
Because they're going to be sued.
Yep. So,
I mean, I think we're opening Pandora's box here. As you're well aware of, I'm sure there was 3 states that either had this on the ballot, had it on referendum, or whatever you want to call it. Kentucky, I think Nebraska, and Colorado. Trump wins Kentucky 64, 67%. The vouchers only get 35%. I think Nebraska, it was a little closer, and I think Colorado, it was the closest, maybe a 5 or 6% difference. I'm not sure on those numbers. Please fact check me. But the point I'm trying to make is this is not a conservative issue.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%. I think it's, and the other thing too, I don't know how rural, you got Williamson County, so you're not all rural.
Yeah.
But
no, I've changed since I first got elected. I'm into Williamson. I've got the southern half, which Williamson County has some of the best schools, or is top rated in the state.
Right.
And I'm not going to turn my backs on those folks. I'm not going to do it.
Well, but the rural districts in most of Tennessee is still rural.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't have anywhere to send us. We don't have anywhere to send our kids. I mean, so it's mostly going to benefit, if it benefits anybody, the urban districts. That's it. It's not going to help the rest of the state.
And let me tell you what they've done, Dave, with this bill. And I don't remember how many pages it is. I think they've shrunk it down some from last time. But they have brought the Washington-style pork politics to the conservative doorstep of Tennessee with this bill. They put enticements in it. There's a $1,500 bonus for teachers, I think, in there. There's some school money for capital improvements in this bill, which they may get one time, but I think it's on page 10, and I don't have the bill in front of me, that says, well, if funding's available,
Right.
Well, you know what's going to happen, Dave. Once this thing's passed out, they're going to strip that money out.
Yeah.
I've been with several school superintendents, and my area is strongly against it.
Well, Todd, that some of these lobbyists are going to these private schools and dangling the carrot in front of the director of that private school, or whatever you want to call them, superintendent, and tell them, hey, this is a way to get your teachers a pay raise.
Yeah, they may be, but I'm not sure. Like I say, I've not had the first private school in my office, telling me, hey, we want you to support this.
Back to the illegal immigration. So you have, so far, you've gotten some support. What kind of support? Because our General Assembly has really been overall weak on the whole issue of illegal immigration. 2 years ago, they passed legislation that would give professional licenses to illegal aliens. Now, they said it was for the DACA kids. Well, guess what? The DACA kids are still illegal, number one. Number two, but they couldn't limit it to that. So all these Biden border bandits that have been coming over here the last little bit, that would have applied to them as well. Now, that bill was repealed this past session, which is good. But that bill was passed in 2022 after Biden opened the floodgates. Yet here in Tennessee, we passed legislation to give a professional license to illegal aliens.
Right, and they were supposed to have been, like you said, I think, best I remember, they were supposed to have been some type of documented, illegals or whatnot with a work visa or something. And it was sold to us, this would help small business. It would get these restaurants, these people that or these small businesses that normally that maybe.
Well, no, this was a professional license. This wasn't the one for servers and waiters and waitresses.
Yeah,
that was a different. That was a different bill. Okay, but
Okay.
It just seems to me in Tennessee that our General Assembly has this love affair with illegal aliens. As much as they like to complain about, well, the Biden administration and the federal government's not doing their job, and we file all these suits to the AG. At the same time, we've never really taken, in my opinion, the kind of steps we should have taken to make Tennessee the most unwelcoming state in the union to illegal aliens, because I think it all comes down to cheap labor.
Right.
Because the Democrats are not going to get enough votes from them, but cheap labor crowd, I think this is just like that HB1 visa issue that you've heard Bannon and Musk go back and forth on here lately. It is really just a cheap labor deal, and it seems like our General Assembly, and I don't mean you per se, but I just mean in general, it's as if cheap labor is one of their main responsibilities. That's the way it comes across.
Yeah.
But do you think you'll get some good support?
We got to address it. I mean, there's too much crime that comes along with it, and I'm all for somebody coming in here legal and doing it the proper way, but the illegals have got to be addressed. Yeah.
So, have you heard from anybody on leadership, so-called leadership on this bill? Has anybody told you anything good, bad, or ugly?
No.
I know you're buddy with them, so I figured you guys talk every day.
I'm not. I haven't had a chance to speak with them, but I'm hoping leadership gets on board and supports this bill. It's a good bill.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be somebody who'll say, well, it's unconstitutional because of that gas tax thing, in it, that portion of the bill, that's unconstitutional. We've passed so many bills down there that I've supported of leaderships that have been overturned. And, it would really upset me if they don't support this effort right here.
Yeah. Well,
if they don't support it, we need to be changing leadership. That's one of your biggest problems right there.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So, for instance, when the illegals are in this state, when they're here, they're sucking up our resources as far as education goes. They cost us, healthcare cost. The cost for putting some of them in jail, the crime, and all that's associated. So
the welfare,
all those different things. Well, they don't generally get welfare, but they do get, if they get hurt and they go to emergency room, that's, they're going to be treated. And then the schools and other things. In addition to, we have people in our state legislature who repeatedly tried to give them in-state tuition. Fortunately, we haven't done that yet, and hopefully we never do. But here's what gets me. Even the Supreme Court has historically recognized that, it's the anti-commandeering doctrine, that the federal government cannot force a state to use its resources for a federal program. Yet, with the Plyler versus Doe decision or opinion in '82, they've said, well, you have to take these illegal children into your school districts and you have to pay for it. Okay. Yes. And then all these other incurred costs, that's de facto, that is a de facto violation of the anti-commandeering. It's not just a matter of, okay, well, since they're here illegally, it's okay if our actions at a federal government force you to use your dollars because they're not here. I mean, it makes no sense. So we should be using, I'm glad I like this gas tax withholding. That is great. We need to see how many different ways we can withhold that gas tax.
Absolutely. And I've asked this question in committee. I sat on 4 education committees last session, and I've asked this committee to the Department of Education, can you give us a number of how many illegal alien children do you think that we're educating in this state? And you can't get an answer, and their reply is, we can't ask. It's against federal law. We're accepting Title IX or whatever it is, money. We can't ask that question. Well, that's BS. We should be able to ask that question.
I'm going to send you, it won't be tonight, but it'll be tomorrow. I have got a chart, and this was it's through 2022. I don't have 23 or 24 numbers. And matter of fact, you should be able to get them. It came from the Department of Education, but there's a certain person in the Department of Education. And this lays out the cost of, or at least one factor of the cost of illegal aliens to our schools. I will send that to you.
And, I'd love to have it. And I would love to bring it up if I'm back on one of those committees.
Yeah, and so I guarantee you can still get it
in front of us.
If we get the right person. Ask the right person in the education department. They'll have to cough it up. There's no way that they don't track that. They have to track that. They have to track that.
And they know. I had a teacher recently from Williamson County tell me that she had 24, 25 students in the class. 23 of them could not speak English. How can this teacher teach these kids when they can't speak English? And I understand that teacher will get some help. I think they're called ELMs or some kind of teachers' assistants that come in and help them speak these other language. But that's got to take away from the classroom time when a teacher has to deal with that.
That's ridiculous. Let me ask
you. And that's extra cost we're incurring to have a translator to just be a special tutor for these illegals, you know.
Yeah, the ESL, that whole ESL thing cost our state millions of dollars every year. Are there other pots of money similar to the gas tax, things that the state collects and sends to the federal government? Do you know of other pots of money?
I'm not aware. I'm sure there probably is a few things. We're sales tax driven here. The gas tax I know goes. We collect. I think he told the legal when they helped me draft a bill that I think we collect about 30 or 32 cents on the dollar. I think about 10 or 12 cents of that goes to the federal government, maybe a little more. I'm not exact on those numbers, but I'm for anything, anywhere where we can recoup that cost. I'm for trying to get it.
Oh, absolutely.
Tennesseans deserve it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's ridiculous that the federal government not only refuses to do their job, but then it costs us twice. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. I like that. I think we need to find any way we can to push back. And to be honest with you, if Tennessee were to, if you got this bill sponsored now, Senator Hensley is the Senate sponsor, right?
Absolutely. Great conservative guy.
Oh yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
If we can get some attention to this bill, then maybe that will, especially once Trump gets in, maybe that will help and encourage, if nothing else. I don't know how any conservative could argue against doing this or a variation of this.
Absolutely, and I'm open to working with Chairman Doggett and trying to, if we need to amend this thing a time or two to get it in its right posture, I'm all for that.
Now, where you will know on the federal tax, it's 18.4 cents per gallon. That when we pump at the gas station, 18.4 cents of that goes to the federal from this state
for every gallon that's sold here in Tennessee.
That's right.
Wow.
And that's across the U.S. as well. In every state, it's 18.4 cents per gallon of federal gasoline tax.
That's
a good chunk. That's a good chunk of money.
Yeah, it is. And we collect it and we send it to the state. Send it to the federal government. Hey, federal government, if you're not going to give us our money back, hey, we're gonna hold this right here. And this is how many illegals that we got out of here for you.
Well, we send them that money, and then we have to allow them to hold that over our heads if we want federal tax dollars for our roads. Why not just keep the money?
They make us go through all this BS stuff. NATE, the national whatever it stands for, where they do these federal environmental studies.
Right.
Been trying to get a light up here in Lewisburg, a traffic light, and it's a 3-year ongoing process with TDOT, and they're waiting on the NATE study, the federal studies that have to be done for environmental for a dadgum traffic light. Dave.
Well, here's the problem. Who owns the federal government?
We do.
The states do. And we need to act like it. They don't tell us what to do. We tell them what to do.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Enumerated powers. If we didn't give it to them, we kept the power.
We kept the power. And so people need to get their head out of their burunkus and do something about this. This federal government just walks over everybody just like you're a piece of crap. And we need less government in our life. I was in a meeting just recently, and I started out, and I told them, I said, hey, I'm going to tell y'all, it was a board of mayor and aldermen in Pulaski, and I told them straightforward, I'm here not to grow government. I'm not here for more taxes. I'm for less government and less taxes, period. I'm not looking for ways to put more taxes on the citizens in the county or in the state whatsoever.
Representative Warner, let's back up just a little bit. Now, I think you had this bill in the pipeline, prior to this to the meeting. So let's talk about that meeting. That meeting's been in the paper a little bit. It was in the Tennessee Star, and I think there was something written about it in Tennessee Conservative. So you were invited, you and Senator Hensley, and I guess some other legislators or elected officials were invited to a meeting to address the issue of crime, illegal alien crime in Williamson County, correct?
Well, we were invited to a meeting, but there was no set agenda. that was one of the things that was brought up, was illegal immigration.
Okay, so when the email came or the invite came, what was it? Just, hey, we're going to get together and just brainstorm, talk about. There was no specific topic.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I took it. It was just a chance to meet with the judges from Williamson County and just hear some of their ideas, some of their problems, some of their concerns that were going on throughout the community. I thought it was a great meeting. I mean, I thought we learned a lot. I thought they learned a lot, and I think it was very, very beneficial. The idea that the Tennessee Star done what they did. Of course, I know why they don't like me, and the reason they don't like me or they want to throw one at me is because of the school voucher. I get it. It's not, their big school voucher. They're funded by AFP, the whole 9 yards. But
Amnesty for Pedro. Isn't that
yeah,
AFP?
That's
Amnesty
it.
for Pedro.
And I've carried some bills for AFP. I'm not totally against everything they want to get done, but I am against the voucher program. But I seen nothing wrong with the meeting. I thought it was very beneficial to us. I talked to Senator Hensley after it. He didn't see nothing wrong with it, but some of them seem to want to deny the meeting, and that's what I have a hard time understanding why you're wanting to deny that. Why they were wanting to deny the meeting.
So who called the meeting or who sent the invites? If you
I'd have to look back. I can't exactly remember the lady's name, but I'm 99.9% sure that it came from Judge Johnson's office.
Judge Johnson and the wife of Senator Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it was held at their house.
Yes, sir.
And so other judges and other legislators and elected officials were there. So what did the judges bring up?
They just concerns. That was the biggest concern there. Was that night that got talked the most about was illegal immigration.
Okay, and I saw something about a number of and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but roughly a third of the crime recently has been by illegal aliens. Was that?
Yeah. So to tell you a little bit, and I guess you may have seen some of the stuff that come out, or the article the Tennessee Star put out. I was invited a morning or two after that to be on Fox and Friends early and discuss this bill that we've discussed tonight, and I did. And to be honest with you and your viewers, this law is something I've been thinking about for a while. I did not go to any of the sheriff's departments or any of that and get any kind of statistics before I filed this bill. In my heart, this was the right thing to do for Tennesseans to make Tennessee a safer place. Well, it was very interesting to me that night when the first judge spoke. That's what he spoke on was immigration, and he went on to say that 1/3 of the crime being committed or the cases coming before him in Williamson County were being committed by illegal immigrants. And his exact words were, build more jails, build more prisons, or get them out of here.
Okay. Now, and that was before you went on Fox or after you went on Fox?
That was before I went on Fox.
Okay.
And I used that same quote on Fox, and that's when I got called a liar by the Tennessee Star. They said that they had reached out to, I think, Judge Johnson's office, and they would not confirm the meeting and said that no meeting took place. Well, I was willing to let it go at that time, okay? I said, hey, you can call me a liar if you want to. I understand you're fake news anyway. You're the media. Well, the next day, they put out another article, and they doubled down that they reached out. I think it's the very lady that sent the invitation, and she replied back to them that no judge had met with the Williamson County delegation.
Wow.
Which, was absolutely a bald-faced lie.
But when you were on Fox, you didn't name a judge by name.
I didn't
You just
name
said
a judge, and I hadn't
one of
named
the
a judge.
Okay.
At all, but but I did not name anybody, and I was simply using it for an accurate statistic that I'd been told a couple nights. And why should I doubt a judge?
I mean, I can't imagine any reason a judge would make up something like that, and it's not.
And I don't think he would either.
Yeah.
And like I say, nobody ever said we were off the record. Nobody said that this meeting is confidential. Nobody said anything like that.
Right.
You know, I had to be honest with you, I'd been invited to one before and I couldn't make it. And this was the first one I'd been to.
Okay.
So why try to make Todd Warner out to be the bad guy? That's what I want to know. I was just stating facts that I was told.
So the Tennessee Star did an article basically saying that, hey, there was no meeting, that Representative Warner made all this stuff up. You were going to let that go, but then another article came up, and
the next day another article came out, and the Tennessee Star stated in that article that they had reached out to one of the judge's office. I think it was Judge Johnson, and her clerk I think it was her clerk that had replied back that, again, she doubled down and said there was no meeting. When I'm pretty sure it was the same lady that sent the invitation out. Now I need to double check that.
Right.
But the invitation had came from her office.
Yeah, but it was their residence. It was Senator Johnson and Judge Johnson's residence where you had this meeting at.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's where the Williamson County delegation met.
Okay.
All the state representatives that are elected in Williamson County and state senators.
Well, I don't understand why they would do that. It makes no sense to me that they would, why they would want to accuse you of making that. That's insane. But all the same, the most important thing is, this is the kind of bill and this is the kind of state action I think we need to see, pushing back on the federal government. I love the part of, hey, instead of sending that money to you, we're going to deduct the cost that we're incurring for your incompetence. And matter of fact, not just your incompetence, your intentional failing to do your job. And
absolutely.
So we need to find every pot of money in the state of Tennessee that the federal government relies on us to send to them so that we have to beg for crumbs back from, and just start deducting the cost of these illegals and any other federal garbage, any other federal incurred BS. We just need to start deducting it out of those pots.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And if more states pushed along like this, hey, we could get somebody's attention real quick.
You know what else I think we need? I think maybe, and this might lead us into the next portion of the conversation here, Chris. You think maybe we can get the SEC to endorse this legislation? What do you think?
Well, we don't meet again until April.
Can't you do a special session?
We could take a special session, can be done. But yeah, I'm wholeheartedly behind House Bill 10 and support Todd Warner 100%. I'll stand there with him because we need more representatives in the House of Representatives. I think we got 75 that are Republican. We need more of Todd Warners up there and less of these weak-kneed or what I call a trans Republican. And these are the type of Republicans that don't know whether they're Democrat or Republican, male or female, gay or straight, know. And they just need to get out of the way.
Yeah. Well, they might have started out in something like the Young Republicans or something. They never really got any good training. Any real conservative values input to them. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. I understand, and so does Representative Warner.
Because we got some issues in our SEC. You want to talk about that?
Well, sure. We met in December, on December the 7th, and one of the main things, of course, we reelected the state leadership for the state SEC. And then we went into conducting business. And two of the things that we were really working on was to remove the Tennessee Federation of Women and the Young Republicans from the state executive board, where they have a voting right at our table. And a lot of people don't understand these people are not elected by they're elected amongst their peers, their bridge club, as I call it, or their exchange club. They're elected within their membership, but they're not elected by the people of the county or the state. And then they have a voting right at our table. I don't know who or where. I think somebody said in 1994 where somebody changed the bylaws to let them have a seat at the table.
And for those who might not know, SEC, State Executive Committee, both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, they have a state executive committee. Okay?
That is correct.
We have a chairman and I guess co-chairman, secretary, treasurer, and all that stuff. And then each district, each senatorial district has 2 SEC reps.
Right. One is a man and one is a woman. So there's 33 senatorial districts across our great state. So you have 33 men and you have 33 women. It makes up a total of 66 members. So then the second part of this was to remove the Tennessee Federation Women's president or chair of that county and young Republicans away from the county executive committee, because they have a seat at the county level. Just like in Marshall County, there is a Federation Women's group and there's Young Republicans group, and both of them have a voting seat at our table. But here's the kicker: they don't follow our bylaws.
Yeah, and you have no say on their board. You don't get to vote on anything for them.
That's right. They don't even offer any of us a seat at their table. So, you know, I can be tit for tat, and also on the county level, you know, I'm for letting each individual county group, like the Marshall County Republican Party, the Williamson County Republican Party, leave it up to their CEC whether they want them on their board or not, you know. But, you know, eventually, you know, when we've had this to try to come up, like in Williamson County, there's 2 or 3 different women's groups, and they all wanted a seat at the table. Well, eventually, if everybody wants a seat at the table, eventually you're going to have more people sitting at that table that are not true CEC members elected by their county party, Republican Party, having a vote, and they're going to outnumber the 5 officers that are mandated in the bylaws. Yeah.
Well, whether ever it comes to that or not, if they're not actually elected by that county body, I don't understand why they would have, even think about having any right to vote on that county body or at the state level. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree with you 100%. I wish you were on the SEC. That would be a big help, you know.
I don't think that'll happen.
But anyway, you know, that was the 2 main things. Now, one thing that I worked very hard at, we used to use a word called vouching. Mm-hmm. And they changed that from vouching to waiver, but we have now removed the waiver. Like in all of our county, there's 95 counties in the state. I don't want somebody to call me out, but 94 of the 95 counties have a local Republican Party that's sanctioned by the state. And let me clear this too. There's only one party per county that the state recognizes. Now, I know there's been spinoff groups in other counties, but there's only one group that's recognized by the state party. But we finally got wavering removed from like these upcoming elections reorg. Now, Dave, you're still the chair in Stewart County, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Of course, all of us have got to reorg in the odd year, and it's for 2 years. And now we got to get started on reorganization, but there will be no wavering where if somebody's not a bona fide Republican, where you have voted at least 3 out of the last 4 primaries, plus there's a caveat there. If you, in any of those 4, if you ever voted as a Democrat, you automatically lose your bona fide status. But you got to be a bona fide Republican, and nobody can say, well, hey, he's a good person. Yeah. He's a Republican. He's only voted 1 out of 4. We're going to give him a pass. Right. No, you've got to earn your stripes.
Yeah. So the vote didn't turn out the way it should have, at least not in my opinion. I mean, you guys were not able to remove these auxiliary groups from the county parties or from the state party, which, by the way, not not every county has those. We don't have a Young Republicans in Stewart County. We don't have a Women Republicans group in Stewart County. And I think a lot of small counties don't. But you weren't able to get that removed. And who was opposing that?
Well, the thing about it is now, one of the votes went 31 to keep them to 28 to remove them. And the other vote went 30 to keep them and 28 to remove them. So the close. 28 stayed there, steadfast. But they're, and I look at things, and Robert's Rules of Order is what we follow. And I think Todd in the House, y'all follow the Mason rules, right?
Masons, yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we follow Robert's rules, and there's really not a conflict provision. We could add it to the bylaws. That'd be another bylaw change. But there are some people, in my humble opinion, that have direct conflicts of interest. One of the people that serves on the state executive committee is actually the treasurer for the Federation of Women for the state, but she didn't disclose that's what she is. And like when I served on the county commission, if we had a conflict of interest, like let's use teaching, since we've been talking about vouchers, if my bride was worked for the school system, whether she was an educator or the director of schools or a custodian, and we were increasing teacher and support staff salaries, I had to disclose that. I had to make it known and read a statement. Well, I feel like that same statement should be read because, as you well know too, Dave, some of these people are married to their wives are the chair of the Federation of Women in their particular county. Now, you mentioned Stewart County doesn't have a women's chapter or Young Republican. Neither does Giles County. So there's 2 counties out of the 94 that don't have this, and there's other counties out there that are just like us, But the thing about it is like their Tennessee Conservative did a report on me, or interview, and I said if they fall under our umbrella, they come under our bylaws. And then the chair of the Young Republicans and the chair of the Women's are elected by the people who are bona fide Republicans in that county, then I don't have a problem.
Right.
But they're not elected. They are self-elected within their little group, their bridge club, but then they come to our table and have a vote at our table. And there's a lot of controversy. I know some people want to deny it, but there's controversies in counties where there are the women and the Young Republicans have created some chaos in these counties.
Well, let me say something on that, because we talked about this a few months back with the Young Republicans. I want to say maybe 6-7 months ago. It could have been longer than that. Here they are. I got an email from them, and they were talking about some event that they had either just done or were going to do with the log cabin Republicans. And they were going on and on about how great the log cabin Republicans are. Well, those of you who don't know, the log cabin Republicans are a bunch of homosexuals. I don't think the state of Tennessee, and if we don't have any control over the Young Republicans, which apparently we don't, I don't know that that's the kind of organization that we want to have a vote on our state, with our state party or in my county. I know I don't want them in my county. If that's the kind of garbage they're going to push, if they're going to push a homosexual Republican group, I don't need them.
That's against our platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our state party platform. Yeah. So, at the same token, you've got this type of mess going on, and we just don't, the next thing we know, the log cabin Republicans will want a seat at our table. Yeah. That'll be the next thing. And then who's to say, I know you had Richard Archie on before us, but who's to say the TFA wouldn't want a seat at our table? I'd rather have the Tennessee Farm Association than having a seat at the table before the log cabin Republicans. I assure you that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that happens and goes back and forth. And the next thing, and it's like I mentioned to you a while ago, that like in Williamson County, I know there's 2 different groups of women. There could be 3, but they were all wanting a seat at the table. Well, then we eventually get outnumbered, and that's just a bunch of chaos. Now, there has been a misnomer, and a lot of people thought that Scott Golden is our state party chair, but a lot of people, include myself, back in early 22, and of course Representative Warner and the chair of the Marshall County Republicans, thought that we controlled the young Republicans.
Yeah.
Well, we don't. And they don't fall under our jurisdiction, neither do the women. They don't fall under our bylaws. And Scott Golden's caught a lot of heat for this.
Yeah.
But I can assure you this, come April, there will be a parliamentarian at our April meeting. We're going to follow the Robert's Rules of Order. We're going to act civilized. We're going to conduct business in a professional manner. And we're going to quit all this infighting between us. We've got some on that SEC that know more than anybody, and they like to showboat, but they don't follow the rules. And I want a sergeant at arms there as well.
Well, now, if you want to talk about it, fine. If you don't, that's fine. But I know that there was one of the SEC members / I think he's also county chair, that over this issue of the vote of the Republican women and the Log Cabin Republicans, he was totally opposed to them being removed. He didn't, and he wanted people to vote against that. But from what I understand, he got, really unprofessional and I guess you could say aggressive towards two of the female members from the SEC, two good, fine, conservative women. Matter of fact, one of them was, my SEC rep. Excellent. She does an excellent job. So, I didn't ask if I could use her name, so I won't. But if you want to talk about that incident, have at it.
It's we were all there, and I will tell you, I'm very appalled at this individual, a fellow SEC committee man. He had no right, and if he don't like it, he can call me.
You're talking Doug England, right?
I am talking about Doug England.
Yeah.
He had no right the way he did two of the SEC women, and of course he's called and apologized to them after. Well, I think Uncle Richard got in his case pretty good.
Good,
but
good.
That should have never happened.
Absolutely.
And not only does he owe them an apology, he owes a public apology to the full SEC for his conduct, along with two other people there that day.
Well, who's supposed to keep the meeting in check while you guys are having these meetings? Don't we got a chairman, right?
We have a chairman, which is Scott, but it unfortunately it got out of his control. And that's sad, and that's where Scott, to help make him stronger, we need a parliamentarian that keeps it in check. And by George, we're going to have one, and we're going to have a sergeant at arms, and if you don't act right, you can get your butt removed. And of course, we have the right to the Highway Patrol. They have come to our meetings before to help, keep order if we need it. Yeah. So we were meeting there in the House floor that day, and I thought, well, maybe it's going to get a little rowdier, and we may need to get the troopers up here, And we had people, and I will tell you, the women and the young Republicans showed their true colors that day because they were hollering from the gallery. And if you do that when you're up there and Cameron Sexton's got that gavel, you'll get a warning. But then next time you're going to get a trooper that's going to escort you out of there. And we had them everything that, when I stood up to talk and they knew where I stood, they started booing me. And I told that whole group, you can boo and heckle all you want to, but I'm going to tell you just like it is, just like I'm going to tell you right here on this show. I am totally appalled that the people who turn a blind eye and just let things be status quo, continue as they are. Yeah. And it's wrong. We need stronger rules and regulations in our state party. We need to make it where, just like, I'm going to bring this up, Ken Yeager.
Lord.
I was on a show here the other day that the guy's a host on Newsmax, and he had me on his show. And Ken Yeager, here he is, just got appointed 2 days prior to be the chairman Republican caucus in the Senate. And then gets down in Jekyll Island drinking,
Yep.
runs the stop sign, hits a vehicle, hit and run,
Yep.
and then gets a DUI.
Yeah.
And while they're doing a field sobriety, he gets two-tone breeches.
Yeah.
Those khakis went from light brown on one side, cream colored, to dark brown, dark chocolate on the other side. But it's a total embarrassment, just like Lieutenant Governor McNally.
Yeah.
But what did they do? They re-elect these people to another 2-year term. It is total ludicrous.
Well, here's the thing too. Both with McNally and with Yeager. Okay, the elections, they were already re-elected. Okay, so as far as the people in their district, which Yeager's event happened after the election, but the Senate itself should have removed them both from leadership. But I know it didn't. It didn't happen with McNally. I doubt it's going to happen with Yeager.
Right, and it should happen. But one of the things that we're looking at is making it stronger, where we can remove that R from behind your name.
Absolutely, yeah.
And as a state executive committee, we can call you out for not following the party bylaws and not upholding the Republican values.
Well, you can keep the R behind McNally's name. You just have to make sure everybody understands that it means reprobate, not Republican.
Lord of mercy, I knew that was coming. But anyway, he got his 15 minutes of fame on Saturday Night Live, and that ain't the way you want to get it.
No, it's not. Well, hey, I appreciate what you're doing on the SCC. I hope we can get that thing fixed. I'm not overly optimistic, but I do appreciate you and people like Tess Robbins and Terry Nicholson, and there's some other good ones up there. We got Cindy Miller, we got Angie McClanahan, we got you got Ryan Ellengood. He's not bad.
Ryan does a good job. We got Jerry Beavers who does a great job.
Jerry's a great one. Yeah.
So. We've got some good one. We got Kent Morrell over in Knoxville, but we got some good people on SEC. We just need people to be more conservative and forthcoming and do the right thing, that nothing else matters. Absolutely.
Well, hey, before we go, Representative Warner, I know last year you were going to run the FBI bill, as I call it, that would basically prevent local sheriff's departments from basically just giving carte blanche to the feds when they come in.
Going down and gathering information at the school board meeting where the moms are speaking out, or down at the Catholic church where we're protesting, or at an abortion clinic where peaceful protest was going on. It would keep our local law enforcement from spending money on those type of situations. We had our caucus retreat here a couple of weeks ago, and leadership's looking to change our rules in the House to where we're allowed to carry 15 bills. They're looking to change it to 10 bills, and that could create a little bit of problem. I want to see, that's one bill I definitely want to revisit. I think it's an important bill, but now that the Trump administration's come on, Kash Patel,
hopefully we'll take care of a lot of that.
I think he is a man to lead the FBI. Any senator or congressman that does not support him on the Republican side, they should be primaried and removed.
Agree.
But I think that we get these type things under control under the Trump administration.
Oh, I hope so. Any other bills you want to hit just real quick? We've only got a few minutes left.
I got one I want to hit. Todd, I talked to Representative Jody Barrett, and Jody Barrett is going to bring up his driver's license bill to get that changed, where we truly know in Tennessee an illegal can get a driver's license.
Okay, now an illegal, or are you talking about a not an illegal, but a documented person who's come in here. Somebody here's on a work visa, school visa, something along those lines. Yeah. Okay.
Right. They can get a driver's license, but they're not a U.S. citizen.
Right. And it's not clear right now on our driver's license if you don't know what you're looking for or where you look at.
Right.
And most
I
of
think
the people
what Jody's bill wants to do is turn that picture a different way, or put a red line across the top that says illegal or not, maybe
Not
non-US
eligible to vote. Not eligible.
Non-U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
Non-U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
But just like under age 21, your your driver's license are not horizontal; they're vertical, and they're going to make. I think that's what he's wanting to do is make the license vertical, where you can really tell and put a red bar, not U.S. citizen.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate you both coming on. Appreciate what you do. Any closing thoughts?
Well, Dave, I've got my daughter here. Can she ease in the screen here? She's one of my biggest fans. She campaigns all the time, works hard, strong, conservative. Kathleen, proud of her, the work she does for her dad, and she's a go-getter.
Well, good. Good to meet you.
I'll back that up as well.
Well, you got a dad there that tries to do the right thing at the Capitol,
He
and there's
definitely does.
not a lot of them up there.
Yeah,
No,
well,
there's not.
we appreciate you, Dave, and we wish you a happy new year, and the folks across this great state a good, happy new year and a prosperous new year.
Well, happy New Year to y'all, and appreciate you again. Take care, and y'all have a good night.
Happy New Year.
Dave,
Happy
thanks
New
for
Year.
having me.
Hey, thank y'all for coming
Happy
on.
New Year.
All right, thank you.
All righty, good night. I appreciate everybody for taking the time to watch our program tonight. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as well as the notification bell, so you never miss an episode. We appreciate your support. Check out our audio podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and other platforms, as well as signing up for our newsletter at our website, tninformer.com. Find us and follow us on Facebook as well as Twitter. Our guest next week will be Kathy Henners, a retired police officer from New York who has lived in Tennessee for over 10 years now. She's an author, blogger, an occasional podcaster with an expertise on the threat posed to us all by Islamist organizations in Tennessee. You might be surprised to hear about what's happening here in our own backyard. The following Friday, January 10th, our special guest will be State Representative Jay Riddy of the 74th District. Jay will discuss legislation for the upcoming session, including a bill he is sponsoring that would fund a true state militia. Monday, January 13th, we'll be joined by State and Local Engagement Director of FAIR, that's the Federation for American Immigration Reform, Sherry Rendell. We will be discussing what Tennessee can do to help reverse the growing tides and trends of illegal immigration. You don't want to miss a minute of it, so make sure you subscribe now and help us keep this mission going for the rest of 2025. That's it for now, and good night from Paris, Tennessee, that is.